Good Monday morning to you. Here on Money Mondays, we're going to be broaching a topic that you might have heard before. I actually had someone resend me an email about this recently, and it kind of got me thinking, like, if you don't already know this, or maybe if you haven't already heard this, or maybe you're not part of like I learned this through my business coaching programs, right? So maybe you're not part of something like that. You've never heard some of this information before. Hopefully, you're learning some of that from us here at the Business of Apparel as we talk more and more money topics here on Mondays. What I wanted to talk about today is the fact that the wealthiest people in the world do not rely typically on just one type of income. Most people who are very wealthy rely on at least seven different income streams. Yes, seven. They have seven different ways that money is coming into them. And it's not always as complicated as having seven jobs. Like, that's definitely not something that we advocate for here. But there are a variety of different ways, and you might already be doing a couple of them. You just don't realize it. So, what I wanted to do today was kind of go through the basic seven types of income that the wealthy really recommend that you explore getting into your financial portfolio so that you at least have a base knowledge of this information. And if you haven't ever heard this before, maybe this is the first time that you're going to be able to understand that that is how a lot of the wealthy are getting wealthier and wealthier. So the first type of income is what most of us actually receive on a regular basis. If you only have one type of income, it's probably earned income. You working at a job and someone paying you a salary or paying you an hourly wage. So we got a little diagram over here. So I'm going to be looking off to the left here every once in a while. So earned income is the most common type. This is the money made from working a job. Simple as that, right? Most of us make earned income in some way, shape, or form. If you have a family, maybe one person, maybe your husband makes earned income, but you do something slightly different. Maybe that's just one way that your family has its seven types of income coming in. The second type is profit. So profit is described as money made from selling a product or a service for profit. If you're an entrepreneur, if you have your own business, if you are selling consulting services, if you are a freelancer, if you have a product that you are selling online, if you're an apparel business and you're selling products, you are selling for profit. That is the kind of money that you're making. You're making profitable money that comes into your business and then comes into your life. The third type of income that you want to consider is interest. Interest is earned by lending money to others, typically through a savings account. Now, this means that you can, let's see, how would I describe interest? Interest is like if you had a client who needed to borrow money, or if there are a lot of different apps out there where people are like peer-to-peer lending, right? Like you can actually lend someone a couple $1,000 that they really need. You actually get interest back on that when you make the money back. We've borrowed money from family before, and because we wanted to make it really, really fair for them, we actually offered them an interest rate on it. That is definitely a way that you can be earning, and it's a little bit unconventional because not everybody lends people in their life money while acquiring interest on it. But that is something that you absolutely can do. And so there's different ways of earning interest. That can also be earning interest on like stocks. That's how I've always thought about it, at least. I'm reading this it's like little diagram that I have, and earning interest by lending money to others, typically through a savings account, is kind of an outlier to me. Like I would actually think that earning interest is more about like, I'm going to put money in the stocks and I'm earning interest on that. So that's the money earned there. If you know a little bit more about this and you want to write me a comment below, I would love to hear from you and learn a little bit more about how maybe this diagram is correct and I'm wrong, or vice versa. Would love to know what you think. But yeah, I've always kind of thought that interest was more on like stocks and bonds that you would actually put your money into and then it would gain interest. Okay, the fourth way of making income is through rental income. So this is a property thing. This is actually a very lucrative way to make some money, but I will say, so rental income is earned by renting out real estate properties that you own. You can own an apartment building and rent out all of the different units and make an income with those rental units. A lot of times the rental income that you'll make will pay for the mortgage of the building. So now you're like making a little bit of profit on top of that. I will say, as like I look at my own financial portfolio, I have literally zero desire to be a landlord. Like it just looks like so much work. And I understand there's like property managers out there who could handle all of that for me. They can deal with finding me renters, and they can deal with if things break, they can go out and handle it. But then I have to pay the property manager quite a big chunk of what's actually coming in. So now my rent has to be really high to handle the property manager and the mortgage on the place. And unless I can like buy something with straight up cash and have no payments on it, I mean, obviously I still have to have insurance, and I'm going to pay taxes on any rental property that I own. But like, I don't know, there's just something about rental property to me that always feels like I don't know that I really want to get involved in that. It's something my husband and I have kind of been talking about, is like, this is one area that we definitely are deficient in because we were a little bit shy about it. REITs are things that you can look into. That's something that we've been exploring a little bit. Like, it's owning portions of rental properties, from what I understand. Again, if you know more about this and you want to put comments below, please do. I'm sharing some information that I know, but I will also say that like I'm not an expert in all money matters. So I'm sharing what I know here. I'm getting you some information so that maybe you can go do some research yourself, or you can totally re-educate me and tell me that I'm an idiot. That's totally fine too. But there are ways that you can kind of invest in rental properties in smaller ways. And essentially you go into these like funds that are based on rental income or based on real estate income. I think that's what the RE actually stands for in REITs, is real estate, not rental. But you can kind of invest in real estate in a safer way without having to deal with the actual real estate of it. Again, we're like barely scratching the surface on this one, so I don't understand a ton about it, but rental property and having income coming in through rental property is the fourth typical way that most people make income. The fifth way is capital gains. So capital gains is when you sell assets such as stocks for more than you bought them. So again, capital gains do get taxed, and depending on your tax bracket, you will have to be taxed on the amount that you earned, right? So if you put $100 in and you pulled it out at $105, you're going to only get taxed on that $5, but though you still make like $450 or whatever it is. I mean, that's a terrible example. You would never do that. But what you can do then is you pull in those capital gains into your income. So if you decide to invest in stocks, number one, you're earning interest on them, and then you can pull them out for the capital gains. So maybe that's why interest is different than capital gains, because there's like there's something there. Please explain it to me if you know. The next one is dividends. So some companies pay dividends as a reward to shareholders. So if you're a shareholder at any company, or let's say you work at one of the FANG companies, like they have different dividends that they pay out to their employees depending on the different levels that they're at or the different years of tenure that they've had at the company. And so those are different ways that you can also make income. And the seventh one is royalties. So royalties are earned by owning and licensing intellectual property, such as patents or copyrights. So if you write a book and you are able to pull in the royalties from book sales, if you were on a TV show and every time that TV show is on, you get a royalty check for actually being on that TV show for your likeness. You invented something, and so you got a patent for it, and someone else wants to use your invention in their product. They now have to pay you a royalty for that patent. So those are also ways in which you can make income. Those tend to be some of the more difficult ones, especially the patent part of it. But some people make a lot of money off of their patents because they are licensing them out, and then they get those royalty payments in. Some people, that's like their main source of income because they're so lucrative. So if you've invented something that's really lucrative and really useful and a lot of people want to get their hands on it, that can be a great way for you to make income. So again, it's earned income, profit, interest, rental income, capital gains, dividends, and royalties. Now, the way that I've kind of always looked at this isn't so straightforward and like, okay, these are the 7 types of income that you should be looking at. A lot of people will make 7 forms of income from different things, right? Like my full-time job and my husband's full-time job are 2 different types of earned income. So we make then 2 types of earned income. So that's 2 of the 7 that maybe we're trying to count. We have some money in stocks. So the capital gains that we get off of that is maybe the third type. Again, there's like different ways. And so then I have, my business. And so we're selling memberships. And so my membership ends up being a profit, something that I'm selling for a service that I'm giving. And so that's, what am I at? Fourth type of income that we then make. So getting to 7 types of income, at least in my book, didn't always mean that you have to have all of these things and one of each of these things. It was like a meshing of, yes, the richest people on the planet find as many different ways to pull in income into their life as possible, right? So 7 to 10 to, I don't know, maybe 100 different types of income. If you own 100 different businesses, that's 100 different types of income that you can be bringing in. And that can make you very, very wealthy. But so the wealthy are looking at it that way, right? Like, how can I maximize my type of income by diversifying what I'm doing? I'm not just putting all my eggs in one basket. But then there's this type of income thing that has been on the internet that I've also been kind of reading about, that kind of goes side by side with that, but doesn't necessarily make the be all end all. Anyway, today it felt a little sporadic. I'm sorry. I think I was a little over caffeinated this morning. But so if this annoyed the ever living shit out of you, please let me know. If it bugged you that I didn't know all the details and now you have to go do some research, but maybe you learned a little bit of something. Maybe you'd never heard of this before, and now you can go do your own research and you've got a little information. Let me know. I'd love to hear comments from you. If you're watching here on YouTube, thank you so much. We love to communicate with our community. So please put comments below. We will get back to you. I will get back to you. Usually that's me in the DMs if you're sending me a message. Yeah, and I hope you have a wonderful week ahead. I am going to go figure out how to go for a walk and pull down my caffeination just a little bit here. Have a great week. Have a great rest of your Monday, and I'll see you next Monday for our next series of Money Mondays. Maybe I'll be a little calmer that time.